this band was meant to be. The universe somehow put us together, and what it's done and what it's done for me, you know, it's given me the greatest adventure of my lifetime.
Hello, I'm John J. Thompson, and on this episode of the True Tunes podcast, I am excited to bring you a conversation with none other than Dug Pinnick, lead vocalist, bassist, and one-third of one of the most innovative rock bands of the modern era, King's X. You've heard me talk about that band several times on this show, about their adventurous music, their lyrical imagination, and their spiritual passion. I've wanted to dedicate an entire show to King's X since we started this thing, and their appearance at this summer's Audio Feed Festival seemed like the perfect chance to push the issue. Fortunately, for all of us, Doug was able to make some time to join me in the virtual True Tunes interview suite for a wide-ranging conversation that covers more than 50 years of his musical adventures alongside guitarist Ty Tabor and drummer Jerry Gaskill. If you are planning to make the trip to Champaign for Audio Feed, I hope this special episode primes the pump for you. If you've not yet made your plans for the July 4th weekend, maybe this will convince you to come rock with us. We'll be right back with my conversation with Dug Pinnick of King's X in just a moment.
Hey, this is Ray, and I'm a Patreon backer of the True Tunes podcast. I have also left a rating and review of the show at Apple Podcasts. Wasn't that hard. It didn't cost me anything. But this show means a lot to me, and I know that reviews and ratings make a big difference when it comes to how and if others discover these conversations. Would you take a few minutes, maybe even while you're listening, but please not while you're driving, to leave a rating and review? Even if you don't listen on Apple Podcasts, the reviews posted there push out to podcast platforms all around the world. Oh, and take some time to tell your friends about the show. Let's drive those numbers up together. Thanks. Everybody knows a little bit.
Here we go.
Here we are. Dug Pinnick, man, thank you, sir, for taking time to hang out with us today. It's such an honor. I'll tell you, when I started True Tunes in the 80s, I was a teenager, and the idea was there is music that is deep and provocative and spiritual and true, but it defies categorization. And artists like Bob Dylan and U2 and T-Bone Burnett, and they were the ones that kind of were our compass. And so when King's X came on the scene, it was like, oh my gosh, it checked all of those boxes. And so we sold so many of your records from our record store in Chicago. In fact, there's pictures of the store. We had the Faith, Hope, and Love poster up from before it came out till the store closed in 1998.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah,
wow.
Big fans. I got to see you guys last, or I guess a couple years ago, the show that got canceled many times in Nashville. For, tornadoes and health problems. So,
heart attacks and everything.
Five times, I think it was. And we covered you in our magazine. So it's just, thank you for taking some time, and really looking forward to seeing you at Audio Feed.
Cool.
And that's kind of that's sort of old stomping grounds for you, right? You sort of got started in that South Joliet. It's in Champaign, so it's not too far from.
I never played in Champaign, but my band Servant back in the day, so we just played in Chicago and opened for Res Band and bands like that. That were, you know, the early
right
stages of the Jesus movement.
Right. And, you know, that's something I wanted to ask you about, actually, before we go on to other stuff. You go back to, like, the early days of that Jesus movement stuff, when it was really counterculture. Like, it was
the beginning, yeah.
And at the same time, the counterculture of the 60s and rock and roll and Sly and the Family Stone and Hendrix and that stuff, you were also steeped in that as well, right? Like,
whoa, yeah.
Yeah, right. growing up as a kid of the counterculture and rock and roll and then the Jesus movement, how did those fibers kind of weave together for you musically and culturally and all that?
Well, as a child growing up, my grandmother played gospel music in the house, and that was the only thing I could listen to, actually. But I listened to blues and everything else that there was in school and my relatives, and so every kind of music that came my way, I listened to it, even though I wasn't supposed to. It never made sense that I wasn't supposed to. That's one thing that music if it sounded good, I liked it. I just kind of blocked out whatever belief anybody had. Yeah. And it was a good thing for me. But going to school and through church, learning to sing show tunes and learning to sing, trying to sing like Aretha Franklin, but yet sing like Doris Day, So, I just...
It's hard to imagine in my head you singing like Doris Day.
I sang I sang like a little white choir boy, I did it all. That's what we did back then in the 50s. There wasn't really anything, a gang that was doing this one thing. It was like every kind of thing I saw that came along that I could sing along to, I sang to. I didn't know any better.
Right.
But I moved in with my mom, and she let me listen to music all that I wanted. So I turned the radio on all the time, and there was this black rock radio station in Chicago that I listened to during the whole Motown era. The 4 years I was in high school, I listened to Motown and Stax Volt all day long on the radio. So that was Sam and Dave and Aretha and Stevie Wonder. So I got my hooks listening to that over and over again and learning how they sang. And then I got around 19, 20, 18, somewhere along the line, Sly and the Family Stone came along, which was like a combination of soul music, gospel music, rock music, the Beatles, all that kind of stuff. And it was different than anything I had heard. And it seemed like he was trying to tell me something. And I was always attracted to any band that had some kind of wisdom for me as a child. I never paid attention to lyrics unless it was speaking to me. I just went along with the lyrics. I didn't care. But if it said something to me, I would hone in on it. It just started to make sense to me how stupid it was to have hatred and prejudice. He put it in words for me. I'm going, wow, that makes sense. Me and my cousin kind of started this church in Joliet. It was like, what happened actually before that was I ran into a bunch of Jesus freaks. And there was a Christian commune. It was a big house, and all us Jesus people lived there. And we just prayed and asked God to bring us food and stuff. And we just prayed all the time. And just basically, we're just 20-something, didn't know what else to do with ourselves. So, it was where we could go. And we are believers. So, it was kind of a sanctuary. And that's why I started playing bass more. But the pastor told me I shouldn't play bass because God couldn't use rock and roll, because rock music was taboo in the Christian world. You were not supposed to play it or listen to it. And I listened to it, and I didn't care. And I remember Res Band came out. They were the first rock band that really got to me. Larry Norman, he wasn't rock and roll. Randy Stoner, that wasn't rock. That was folk music. But Res Band came out, 2 guitars blazing with Marshalls, and that was like, I went, yeah, and everybody's going, no, and I'm going, yeah. When Glenn started singing, I'm going, yeah. He had that black kind of vibe to it. And dude, the Res Band was like, are you kidding me? And I bought that record and played the shit out of it. But I played it along with all my other rock records. I didn't care. Oh, then we get to the church thing where I moved back to Joliet with my mom for a bit, and my cousin got saved, and we started a band together. He played drums, and I was playing bass. We were playing 9 months, if that. And we were just jamming in this basement of this building that nobody was renting at the time, and they let us rehearse there. And we found a guitar player. And he started jamming with us, and we started talking about Jesus and got him saved. And all of a sudden we had a band and we're all Christians, and all of a sudden a bunch of people started hanging out with us, and they were all Christians and they were all like Jesus freaks. We were all around the same age. And somebody said, why don't we call up, some ministry up in Oregon and tell them to send us a pastor, because they were throwing out these 21-year-old pastors, out of this. Oh my God, what could go wrong? You're right. So, at that point, we got a pastor. I remember his name was Tim. I was older than he was. I remember I would talk logic with him, and then next Sunday he'd preach it. It was kind of weird. So we were all just young people not knowing anything, just throwing things off and on with each other. And the stuff that was going on underneath, the sex and all the stuff that nobody was telling you about was happening. People are getting pregnant, and 6 months later they're talking to the pastor, and and they're getting married, and 6 months later they have a kid, going, oh, okay, So, where everything was getting swept under the rug. Through that, I had this band, and then Matt Spranzi came down from Oregon and became the keyboard player in the band, and we went on as Servant, and we played around the area, and we hoped to get a record deal on some Christian label, but nobody'd take us. It was around 78 or 79. The guys in Servant said, look, we're all married, we got kids. We want to spend more time with our families, Bible verses in hand, why they should do it. And so they wanted to do practice 2 times a month and do maybe 1 gig a month. And at that point I said to myself, I went home and I said, God, you open the door, I'm out of here. And about a week later, Greg Bowles from Petra called me up and asked me if I wanted to play bass in Petra. And I said, hell yeah. And I remember I packed up lock, stock, and barrel, quit my job, left the church, left everything, threw everything in my car, took off there and went to Springfield, Missouri, where I met up with Greg. And Petra broke up, and he said, but we're going to play with Phil Keaggy, and he grabbed Jerry, and that's how we all kind of met, me and Jerry did. And Jerry was in Springfield, and then we met Ty at the college, and everybody knows that story. And I remember what happened with us, the biggest thing that happened though was after doing all the stuff with Phil Keaggy, which is, honestly, Phil Keaggy is a saint. He's one of the greatest Christians I've ever seen in my life. He walks the talk, he believes it. He's a staunch example of what I would call what a Christian should be. But when I went out on the road with him, all the famous rock bands that were Christian behind the scenes were just like every other person I met outside of the Christian box. And I thought to myself, well, if these people are all fake and they're telling me I need to do this and not do this and this and that and this and that, and then behind closed doors they're doing the opposite, I said, I might as well just go out into the world and make music for real people and make a living and make no apologies. And so I basically told that to Jerry and Ty and said, we will not do anything Christian, anything. And we held to it until, we even I had a hard time even with this one, I was going, do we want to do this or not? But at this point in my life, I'm ready to stand up and be me. Yeah. Because the church teachings shamed me to a place where it's like if you grow up with parents that shame you, you don't want to go home because you feel like you're being judged. And I know I will be judged. That is what they do. Okay, I know that for a fact. It will happen. Other people will find life enjoying it. But the thing is, for me, is I have to be okay with whatever happens. So I had to deal with that. It had nothing to do with anybody else. It was my decision.
Up above my head. I hear music in the air. I hear music in the air. Up above my head. Up above my head. I hear music in the air. I hear music in the air. And I really do believe. Yes, I really do believe that there's a heaven somewhere. Heaven somewhere. Up above my head. Up above my head. I see trouble in the air. I see trouble in the air. Up above my head. Up above my head. I see trouble in the air.
I know on the first record with Over My Head, I was 17, I think, when that came out, and I immediately recognized the Rosetta Tharpe connection, and she was and is one of my patron saints, you know, and the connection between her and rock and roll, and really, I think, like, maybe she's the inventor, or certainly one of the inventors of rock and roll. Well, just the fact that she was shoved into so many boxes, and she was, you know, and there's something interesting to me there about is the persecution she faced, there's something interesting there, and yet now she's being celebrated and recognized much later and than she should have been for the contribution she made. And there's no Chuck Berry without her, there's no Keith Richard without her. Is there a King's X without her? I don't, it's like Sister Rosetta is like paves the way and does that, and think about the contribution and what she had to go up against.
Honestly, she was the least of my influences back in the day. Remember, I grew up in 1950, and so between 50 and 60, I listened to Mahalia Jackson, the staple singers. Okay. And that's what was played around me when it came to gospel music. And my relatives played jazz or blues. So I very seldom ever heard anything by Rosetta Tharpe. I knew who she was, and I wasn't attracted to her because every now and then someone would have a record by her and they'd play it. And I liked what she did, but I didn't like the tone of her voice. It was too scratchy and too harsh for me. She just didn't attract me. And I didn't realize she played guitar till about 20 years ago when somebody popped up, showed a video of her, and she's doing the duck walk and all that stuff. I'm going, so she came up with that stuff first. And I'm going, and then I went down the rabbit hole and really checked her out. And I went, my God, I missed out on her. Wow. But what was happening was at the same time, Pop Staples was playing blues with the tremolo reverberation, and his kids were just wailing with this emotion. So, and when I wrote Over My Head, it wasn't about that song at all. It was every night, when I was growing up with my great-grandmother, I would hear her making noises in the bedroom next door, and she was like she was talking to someone or doing something, but I couldn't tell what she was saying. I come from a line of night terror family. My mom had them, and I think my grandmother had them too. And that might have been what she was doing, was trying to get out of the dream, and it scared me. But I took it as she was praying, because my grandma was a real Christian. I mean, she was one of those, she was this Baptist old lady that just, you couldn't do anything. And she prayed a lot, so I wanted to believe that she was praying. So when I wrote that song, Over My Head, I hear music in there, music, I hear it so clear. And I thought, what am I singing about? Music. And I thought, this is pretty stupid and mundane and goes nowhere. And then I thought, well, where should I go with the chorus? And I thought about Lenny Kravitz when the first song came out, when he built up Let Love Rule. He built the song up, and then he got the Let Love Rule. Like, the chorus was the opposite of any chorus I had ever heard. So I thought, with Over My Head, I'm going music. I brought it down like he did. That's why I did it. And I made the chord up at the end of the riff. And I thought, this chord is like kind of stupid. And I thought, this is a stupid song. And I put it away, literally, after I finished it. And about 5 years later, the guys heard it. And then that's when we did it and put it on Gretchen. Literally, that's how the song came about. It was part of the story, but it wasn't all the story.
Can't you hear it? I hear it, don't you hear it? Listen, it's all around me. It's everywhere. Oh.
I'm going to step away from my conversation with Dug Pinnick for just a minute, but we'll be right back after this.
Hello, my name's Rob, and I'm one of the Patreon backers of the True Tunes podcast. I'm honored to invite you to join me in support of True Tunes by signing up on their email list. I know email is often annoying, but by being on the list, I get notified when new episodes drop and when new articles get posted at truetunes.com. Sometimes, John even sends out short notes and gives away records and swag and stuff. Super cool. But really, the point is that by staying directly connected, I know that they don't have to pay Facebook or anyone else in order for me to hear from them, and that's important. They don't send out too many emails either, and I'm always happy to get them. So really, it would be helpful if you join me over here. You can find the sign-up link on the front page at truetunes.com. Oh, and don't forget to add John's email address, jjt@truetunes.com, to your contacts so that the emails don't get caught in your spam filter. And if you have any feedback on the show or questions, you can email him and he'll get back to you. Eventually. Thanks for listening.
And we're back with Dug Pinnick.
Back in the day, I would sing positive about things that were negative in my life. There's a line that says, something keeps me hanging around. I guess my mother made me strong. And people go, oh my God, he's his mom, you know. And I'm going, that's not what I'm saying. It's like she abandoned me, and I had to learn how to be strong. And I thank her for it.
Wow.
You know, and it's everything has hidden meanings. But the thing is, you know, just saying that, it takes someone somewhere else and it changes their life, you know, and makes them think about their mom in a good way, you know. So, you know, that's what we do. That's what we do, right? That's why I walked out of the Christian world with my lyrics, is because I wanted people to hear them for what they were without a title.
Right.
And it was hard enough when people would say, well, they've been reading C.S. Lewis. And I've never read C.S. Lewis, but C.S. Lewis, I'm told, had a way of twisting spiritual things into a secular way of comprehension.
Well, sure, and that same thing as Tolkien, and they were best buddies.
Exactly.
They were just telling great stories and
you know who else?
The human truth,
And Bono is the biggest influence for me,
Oh, yeah.
because before that, I used to pray about you need this, you need that, you need to be saved. You're lonely, you need this. You know how we used to, back in the old evangelical days, we had a list of things we had to say to everyone to try to get them to come in the fold, and that's all I sang about. And when I heard U2, when Bono said, I try to stand up, but I can't find my feet. I try to speak up, but only in you I'm complete. Gloria.
Right.
And it was a piece of art for me.
Right.
It was a beautifully crafted way to say how I felt. I don't know what the fuck, but I'm trying to figure this out.
Right.
And it was the first time the universe said to me, start being honest with yourself and speak your truth. And I've done it ever since. And I've speak my truth as I've changed my belief system through the years. I continue to speak my truth because that's my journey, and it's my journal book.
To me, there's such a difference between the fundamentals and fundamentalism. And
yes.
So you guys have this you're leaning into the fundamentals of rock and roll with its roots in gospel and its roots in blues and its roots in struggle and tension and sweat and all of that stuff. But you're not fundamentalist about it. You're doing it in a way that everybody can relate to that. Like, it doesn't matter what you believe. I watched the first time, I think it was your first tour. I was there with friends from Aurora, a lot of your friends, and we was at the Cubby Bear in Chicago.
Oh yeah, what a night!
It was a great
show. That was a good night.
And I was watching you with a 12-string bass and Ty playing. It sounded like 3 guitar players coming out with 2 hands, and I was blown away. And it was joy, and it was love, and it was transcendent, and I was just blown away. You didn't fit in any boxes. You weren't heavy metal for sure, and yet you ended up being kind of put in those boxes sometimes. They weren't really calling music alternative yet. You were on your own. You were in your own genre. How did the 3 of you dare to come up with such a unique sound, and what allowed you to do that artistically? How did you come up with this vision, this daring to be so different?
I think just the way the 3 of us play together is just something happens when the 3 of us lock into each other. I really don't know. None of us will take a back seat in the music, even though we'll play each other's songs. When we started out, I had about 8 or 9 songs, and we did them. And I'm the primary writer of the band. I mean, Ty and Jerry come in with a couple songs now and then, but I've always got 10 or 20 songs to go all the time. So it ain't that they don't write good or nothing. I've always been that way my whole life, even since I was 18. I was just writing songs and serving, and I just kept doing it. So as I write these songs, they would put their vibe into it, and then I would learn their vibe, and they would write tunes, and this swirling thing would happen. I'm getting really spacey with this now, but and it's like we didn't know what it was. We still don't know what it is, John Paul Jones said that Led Zeppelin stayed together so long is because they weren't friends. And that's the way it is with Ty and Jerry and I. We're brothers, but we're not friends. We don't hang out. We don't have anything, I think, that we hang out to do together on. I mean, all of us have different friends, different things that we like to do. And that's good because we don't get sick of each other and we have to deal with each other. Only on the road, and we can do that, you know. And I remember a couple times we've even tried to break up just because things were going bad and nobody was coming to see us and we felt like, what's the use of doing this? But every time we would officially try to break up, somebody would just go, nah, and we'd go, yeah. There was always this fear when we would think about breaking up. And it wasn't fear of anything other than we know we're supposed to be together. That's something we know more than anything else is, you know, this band was meant to be. The universe somehow put us together, and what it's done and what it's done for me, you know, it's given me the greatest adventure of my lifetime.
In addition to the musical innovation, you've got alternate tunings. You were one of the first bands I ever saw that was doing the drop tuning, and I mean, it was subhuman how deep these things, the grooves got. But then the 12-string basses and Ty with his amplifiers, and he's always like modifying everything and getting this. So tell me about how technological innovations became part of your DNA so early.
Okay, the three of us are tone freaks, complete tone freaks. We were these kids that had this sound in our heads from all the music that we've heard growing up, and we put it in our fingers, you know, like Ty always said that whenever he'd hear a heavy guitar, he said to me, he said, Doug, you know, if you only knew what I hear in my head, but I'm gonna get it one day. I had the bass, but it wasn't clanging enough. It wasn't in your face like I wanted it. I wanted it to be like Chris Squire and John Entwistle, but I wanted it to sound like a grand piano and a baritone saxophone. So tones make a big difference when it comes to how you present what you do. Mm-hmm. And I think both of our hands create a nuance that's like a voice that you can tell the way I play. And for some good reason, I play with two other guys that have that ability. So that when we shake a string or when we hit a note together, we aren't counting 1, 2, 3, 4 in a grid. We literally know each other's hesitation or how we speed up, and we lock into each other's emotionally. That's what makes the boat float, you know, and makes people cry is how you present that metaphysical thing that you're creating.
A lot of people have talked about how influential you guys have been and were.
I tell you what, they're tuning wise. I think about this because when our first record came out, it was the first time I ever heard drop D tuning. Later, I heard a couple other bands that did it, like on 1 or 2 songs. But what happened was 1985, Ty wrote this song, and it was Nashville tuning, drop D. And he wrote Pleiades, or in the New Age, one or the other. I can't remember which song it was. But he said, we were, and this is before we got a record deal, because we were getting on a plane going to Heritage Farm, where Jim and Tammy Baker's TV show was, and we were on the show. playing with Morgan Cryer, and we were flying out. And Ty handed us a cassette and said, I wrote this song. He says, I don't know if it's any good or not, but give it a listen. And Jerry and I plugged in together on the plane before we took off and listened to this demo. And we just went, that is really cool. And I said, how did you do that? And he says, the Nashville tuning, I tuned my D down to E, or the E down to D. I said, I'm gonna go home and try that when I get back. And when we got back home, I wrote like 8 songs that are on the first record. And Ty wrote the other songs, you know, that were in drop D. And it was just something that he came up with, and I ran with it. But about 5, maybe 6 years ago, Kim Thales from Soundgarden told me that in 1985 he showed Chris drop D tuning. And Chris started writing songs in drop D also. Ultimega OK, I think it is, by Soundgarden. The beginning has all this weird sounding noises, and then it comes in with a riff that's drop D tuned, goes da 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 da. Okay, our record came out maybe a month before that, and our record had all that noise in the beginning of it, and it had drop D tuning. So I argue, who was it? The thing I know, though, is that in rock music in general, everybody turned their heads at King's X because we came out of that metal thing, and grunge wasn't even like on the register yet. It was like this little thing that was happening in Seattle. It hadn't exploded yet. Yeah. So nobody was paying attention. But I know that after we came out, I met Alice in Chains and Jeff Ament from Pearl Jam, and all those people told me how influential we were to them. So I would say that I think that we kind of influenced a lot of bands, but Alice in Chains was really what brought it out to the world. It's like, and I remember that Kerrang called Alice in Chains King's X in Hell, which was a wonderful. They didn't like Alice in Chains when they came out because hardly any of the media did, and I thought these people are stupid because this is a great band. That first record was like, but that record I heard the King's X influence or that vibe, and they made it dark. And it was like kind of the way I wanted King's X to be. I always wanted King's X to be very dark like that. But every time the three of us sang, it sounded like the Beatles and everything was pretty.
What's the mission of the preacher man? Some are true, some do lie. What's the mission of the preacher man? Yeah, 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 yeah. Say, what's the mission of the preacher man? Some are true, some
back in the day, if you were alternative,
Right.
you got to go because it was not cool to be towards religion in any way in the 80s and 90s. Okay, Stryper kind of broke it later on, but it was even that. If you put him in Rolling Stone, they would say, "Hey, give him a 5 stars," but say something real negative about him, like they did with King's X. We were defiant. That's our thing. It's like all three of us go, "You can't do that. We will."
Yes.
You can't play rock music and be a Christian. Yeah, we will. You can't walk away from Christianity and play rock music. Yeah, we did. I mean, it's like we made our way, and there ain't no way I'll go back and change it. It's been a long haul.
Were you ever tempted to turn the innovation dial down and just kind of dumb things down and give the industry and the crowds the more normal kind of typical music that they wanted?
Oh yeah.
Just to crank out a hit or two.
I mean, think about it. Tape had a few songs that could have been hits, and we dumbed it down on that record a lot. And not say dumbed it down, but we just thought, okay, well, let's hone it in a little bit. When that record came out, I thought we were backing off a little bit, but the record before that was Ear Candy.
Mm-hmm.
Ear Candy, I think almost every song we wrote for a hit.
Mm.
I mean, put that record on, and it's like
right.
every song could have been on the radio, I felt.
I wish for nothing, take my chances, let it ride. Maybe there's an answer, but it's buried by the light. Somebody told me that it's just a waste of my time, but I just can't get rid of all those bags I left behind. I had to run, I had to hide in the world outside. A better chance out there if God is everywhere.
What I've learned is that words matter and being authentic matters. But I was still hiding behind a lot of walls that my upbringing and my religion I allowed to become who I was instead of letting me be what I should be. And I will honestly say that I was in a shell. I was a performer. I had a band, and these people, I'm in front of a crowd, and this is what I love to do, and I'm getting paid, and everything's good, but there was nothing else going on. I was this kid inside, and I look at those videos and watch me talk, and I'm going, dude, you had no clue. You were battling with being gay and battling with God, thinking you thought God hated you, and battling with feeling like everybody's judging you, and battling with, and that's my whole time through there until I walked out of it. So it was hell for me. Everybody, I'm even the time when you saw us, I was deep into my self-hate at that point. I go back to the bus and cry, and go, why do I feel so alone? And I just felt so much. So through it all, lyrics started to change, and I started to share what I felt and my journey and what I'm learning and what I'm seeing and how I'm getting through. After a while, I thought, well, nobody can help me but me.
When your world comes crashing down, and there ain't nothing you can do about it, and when everybody's done you wrong, and you're feeling all toned down, now the kingdom of everything's within, and to love yourself is not a sin. And if there's a light
We'll be right back with more of my conversation with Dug Pinnick of King's X in just a moment.
Hey there, I'm Mark Feldbush, and I'm a Patreon backer of the True Tunes podcast, and I follow and listen to the weekly Spotify Gallery Stage mixtape that John curates for us every week. I get to hear classic artists that I really dig and discover new artists. Every week, usually on Wednesdays, the mix is updated with around 40 songs from brand new releases to deep cuts, and from across a wide range of genres including rock, Americana, indie, gospel, blues, sacred music, soul, and so much more. It's also great to hear a mix that blends up great music that is just good, beautiful, and true without all of the genre and market limitations and boxes I hear everywhere else. You can find the mix on the front page at truetunes.com or on the show notes page for this episode. And if you follow it, it will live there in your Spotify browser and update automatically each week. And don't miss the massive archive list where all previous lists get saved. And as great as Spotify is for music discovery, please support the artists you love once you hear and discover them there. Thanks.
And we're back with Dug Pinnick.
There's things that I've wanted to say, but I don't because I don't want to offend anybody. And sometimes you got to offend someone to be yourself, and you can't make everybody happy. And I grew up believing that I got to make everybody happy. You know, we put the weight of the world on our hands, over our heads, and hold everything up, and don't want anybody to feel ill of us about anything, because that's how we feel about ourselves. So there's that battle that I'm going through, trying to be in King's X. So I'm to that point now where I can say what I want, believe what I want, and do what I want. And there is no, there's nothing in the back of my mind anymore doubting what I've gone through and what I realize in my reality now. And I kind of don't know where to go anymore with it, because it's like I'm going, wow. It's like all I had to do was just let go. And I realized also that something hit me about a couple months ago, and it said that what is the strongest vibration that you have that attracts people, or you just a strong vibration that you attract good vibrations and blah, blah, blah. And everybody would always say love. I always say that love, that's the highest vibration. Love is the lowest vibration. Authenticity is the highest. And I had to sit down there, and I went through about a month of just dissecting that. And then I looked around, and why are these people that I think I don't like that are successful? People that can come out, like Perry Farrell, for instance. He called King's X pretentious bullshit and didn't want us on Lollapalooza. And I was so offended. But I was. You know? I was in some ways, and I didn't realize. I thought I was humble, you know, and they saw that, and thinking about that and other things that went on, I go, that's the thing, is you are being real with yourself. I realize that now. There's a lot of bad people out there that are being who they are, and they've got everybody following them, leading them down paths of Kool-Aid, you know what I'm saying? And I realized that, oh my God, this is the power that creation, God, whatever you want to call it, is giving to people. And we don't know what we got. And we don't know how important it is to be that light, to show someone which way to go, not how to do it. You know, people are drawn to what they need to be drawn to, you know, and all we can do is be that. And even in the beginning, when we started out, when I considered myself a believer, I remember I believed that God said to me, just be yourself. And if people want to know anything about your faith, they'll ask you. And I've pretty much lived my whole life that way. I'm a bit outspoken these days, so.
Nothing wrong with that.
A bit over.
Got this anxious feeling. This runaway train ain't slowing down. Whoa, I can hear it. Even though the world has got too loud. Now the prophet of doom is shouting something about a thief in the night. Oh, I have this question. What if the truth was a lie? So let it rain. Oh, to wash the fear away. So let it rain, yeah, to wash the fear away. So let it rain. Oh, wash it away, yeah.
I was realizing how there's kind of bookend songs. You've got It's Love from Faith Open Love, and you've got Everywhere on the latest King's X record. It's still coming back. It's like you're casting that out there, and it doesn't matter. Like I'm still getting it.
When I remember writing the lyrics to that, and all I had was the chorus. And when I wrote it, and I played it over and over again, and all I heard was this Beatle melody in love. And all I could see was the whole world. I visioned the whole world around me and all the lonely, sad people, the hurt, go down the list, all those emotions. I started to feel them all. And I thought the whole world was crying for love, everywhere. Didn't have verses, and me and the three of us kind of made the verses up, you know. I made up a line. I go, I don't know what else to say after this, and then we get around to heaven, and Ty says, heaven. I'm going, cool, and we put it in there, and then we got around a second time, and we got to the thing, and heaven came. We said, well, that works the first time. Let's put it, you know, and we just kind of built the song into a really, really cool song. Ty said it was his least favorite. It's my most favorite. You know, I was kind of depressed that it was at the end. It's a good ending, I guess. Yeah. I was surprised that was when Michael sequenced it, that he put it at the end. Because in my mind, in my insecure mind back in the day, I thought that, well, if you put that song at the end, that means that's the worst song on the record, and everybody else is bored by then.
Oh, see, gosh, no, that's the opposite. I always thought the last song is the one that it leaves you thinking about the most. Like, to me, the last song is really, really important because it's the one that's like the sends you off with that, you know.
And that's the truth. And that's the difference that goes on in my head and that I had to learn.
Yeah.
You know, I look now and I go, no, I don't know why. I just go, I trust you. Because this is the way it ended, you know, instead of being insecure around. I mean, I've learned that if I don't like something bothers me, I'm reflecting it. So why am I bothered with that? And I go inside and, you know, you just got to know where your emotions are going. I'm a super highly emotional person, and I've fought my whole life to learn how to keep me from losing my mind, put it that way.
You mentioned early on that when you were a kid, you gravitated mostly to lyrics that were trying to share wisdom or give you something, tune you into something important. You're still doing that. Do you with your music, like you're giving that to kids like me? I mean, I'm 54 now, but you're still doing that. So do you feel, with all this experience, hundreds and hundreds of songs you've written, do you feel that music has a purpose beyond just entertainment? Do you think there's something spiritual in the essence of music?
Yeah, I've always felt that. It just seems like as long as I've listened to music, it's been like I can touch it and feel it, and it moved things. As I started to study music, the walls of Jericho, trumpets blew, walls came down. I realized that that's why I love music so much. It's because it's something that, it's not just a song. It's literally, it's a spell. It can move you emotionally, make you cry, make you laugh, make you angry. You could just go on and on about it. It's such a amazing thing, and there's just so much we can learn about it and how we can use it for good. Mm-hmm. It's waves, it's energy, I don't know. It sounds all weird when I say it that way, but I do believe that. It has a whole lot more to do than we think. Mm-hmm. And if we could all tap into it, I think we would be amazed at the things that we could accomplish with sound. Even, what frequency will break up a kidney stone, to let it come through without any pain, So yeah, music is way more than just a song to me. A song is a spell to me. And I've just started realizing that really, 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 really strongly in the last year, is that if you say something over and over again, you're going to bring it to you. And when you're singing about negative things and about hate and about all the dark things, and over and over and over and over again, it's going to come to you because, you believe in God, devil. I believe negative and positive, and it's just waiting. Music is way more important to our psyche than people think. Mm-hmm. And we have been manipulated probably beyond what we could ever imagine with sound and sonics. So, yeah. I answer your question, yeah.
I love that. I mean, I hear that in your work.
So I hesitate and wait till it's too late. Time was made to kill, thinking I should make a will. Yeah, I lost the thrill, my heart is getting colder. I drag it all around, looking for the lonely people. Give it up, give it up. Give it up, give it up. Give it up, give it up. Give it up. I'm never gonna give it up until the lights go out. What's my biggest fear? I might not like what's over there. I wanna stick around until they put me under. I am is all I know. Ride it out until it's over. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Give it up, give it up. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Give it up, give it up. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Give it up, give it up. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Give it up.
I just really appreciate decades of art that you have crafted that have cast the imagination wider than most commercial music has. And I think you'll be surprised. This audio feed is not going to be they're not a religious event per se. There's going to be some people that come from that and many that don't. But I think you'll be surprised at how welcoming and excited people are to see you.
I mean, we were such a big deal when we first came out in the Christian world. And the mystery, the arguments of are they Christian, are they not, you know? I mean, we had that going real well. Ty always said if we had went full-blown Christian, we'd probably be the biggest band in the world. Yeah, I laughed about it. We always laugh about it. Yeah. Well, I can't wait to play, too. It's going to be fun, you know. I always take everything in consideration, you know. So, you know, and when I brought up about somebody judging me, I'm going, come on, Doug, you're reflecting again. You're saying you haven't gotten over it, you know. So I had to say that as a disclaimer. But put it this way, you know, a lot of people have never seen King's X. A lot of people that are Christian, especially, that never get a chance to. And I think this is a great thing for a lot of young folks, too, that get to see how it's done, I hope. You know, that's what's, because I mean, it's like going to see, when I see ZZ Top in the videos, I'm going, that band's been together for 50 years. And what is it? They're in each other's brains. It's just like, they ain't even looking at each other. No. And then I go, you know, that's how we are, you know, and that's the thing is, it's all about showing up how long you've been doing this.
I want to thank Doug for his time today and his generosity of spirit. I am so looking forward to our time together at the Audio Feed Festival. King's X will be playing on Friday, July 4th on the Tuned Up stage at the Champaign County Fairgrounds in Urbana, Illinois, alongside dozens of great bands and solo artists. I'll be there too, performing, speaking, recording, and more. You should really be there if you can, and if you can't, you should be sure to catch King's X out on tour whenever and wherever you possibly can.
Feeling, 'cause I feel. I
I want to pull out my soapbox here for just a minute and send some love out to all of the misfits and oddballs that gravitate to things like eclectic bands, niche festivals, and inside jokes. One thing I am increasingly confident of as I careen through my midlife is that despite our differences, our tastes, and our beliefs, or lack thereof, one thing that seems to drive humankind more than just about anything else is our hunger to be seen and known. As individualistic as we want to feel, we also really need to belong. When I was 19 years old, going to see bands at clubs or attending places like the Cornerstone Festival was always as much about being part of that crowd as it was about consuming the music itself. When I hear Dug talk about his early days in the Jesus movement, it sounds like a lot of stories I've heard about those days, and it sounds like the same reason other kids tried to find their clan with the drug culture, the hippie scene, or even the drama club at school. There is a hunger that we experience, and while there are many who seek to meet that need in glorious, radical, artistic ways, there are also those who will exploit us and our need to belong. But to be drawn into a community only to feel that you have to hide a significant part of yourself, to spend such a long time stuck in a pattern of self-hatred and anxiety, is just terrible. It's tragic, even terrifying, to think that the hunger for community that some young people felt led them to become flower children, while others explored more sinister paths. I'm sure glad some of us just settled for the rebellion, such as it was, of starting a rock band. But running away from your needs can't be the answer either. If it is love that we need, and if it is true that when we seek it we will find it, then I suppose the greatest risk is simply settling for the counterfeit and believing that what we are consuming is good enough. We settle and stop seeking. That might be the biggest tragedy of them all. As I survey the landscape today, from the political dumpster fires to the cancer of social media, I see abusers finding new and increasingly mad genius ways to use our need to belong and our fear of loneliness and death against us in cripplingly powerful ways. The disasters are obvious, I won't list them here, but I do hope that we will allow the hunger in us, a hunger to know and be known, to find our people and sing with them, to howl at the moon and keep the darkness at bay, to embrace that hunger as an essential part of our humanity and lean into it. Because I do believe that if we seek the kind of love that can satisfy that hunger, we will find it. Okay, I'm climbing off my soapbox now. That's going to do it for this episode of the True Tunes podcast. If you liked this one, we have over 100 other episodes for you to check out. It would also be really helpful if you would jump over to truetunes.com and sign up for our email list. And thank you to our patrons. We've got some new members, Scott and Kathy Hansen, I'm looking at you, and we have some great exclusive content over at the Patreon site lately. There's a free membership you can get there, and from time to time I will post some special stuff there that anyone can get. But to those of you who give a few bucks a month, thanks so much. Head over to patreon.com/truetunes and sign up now. This podcast was written and produced by me, JJT, with co-production, editing, and sound design by Bruce A. Brown for Gyroscope Productions. Our theme song is a special instrumental mix of Full Circle by Phil Keaggy and Rex Paul. The contents of this program are protected by U.S. copyright law and are the intellectual property of Gyroscope Productions, with the exception of songs or clips that are from previously copywritten materials. Everything on this episode is used by permission or under fair use provisions. This program is intended for the private use of our listening audience. Gyroscope Productions can be reached at jjt@truetunes.com or P.O. Box 60401, Nashville, Tennessee 37206. Until next time, this is JJT reminding you it's love that holds it all together, and the same will let it go. So stay tuned and stay true. Peace.
There's that man with the stopwatch waving his arm, so I guess that means we've got to clear out. So we sure hope you like our music and that you'll tune in the next time we come your way. So long, everyone.